I speak to you now in the authority of that word which does not waver. I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee. Hear it as said to you not long ago, not far away, but here, now, closer than breathing, nearer than hands and feet. And I add the Master's injunction that frightens the anxious mind and frees the heart. Take no thought for your life. Take no thought for tomorrow. I, in the midst of you, am mighty. Let this be our altar, our opening, our assurance. We begin not by running out to find what is missing, but by turning in to behold what is. Stop chasing supply. Let grace reveal it. That shall be our line and our law for this hour. For supply is not the brass ring at the end of the world's carousel, won by the longest arm or the strongest grab. Supply is the presence, revealing itself as sufficiency, as order, as the thing needed appearing in the moment of need. God, the only power of the universe, only power, and where God is, can lack be? Where the light stands, can darkness argue? No. When human pushing ceases, when the fever of making it happen abates, there the still, small voice announces itself, and the basket is filled, and the net that toiled all night draws in, not by law, but by grace. Now, would you do a very simple thing with me? So simple the mind will say, oh, that cannot be it, and yet it is the door. Say quietly the word I. Not I the name on a card, not I the age and address, but I. Say it again, softer. I. Notice it. It does not come from the corner of the room. It does not arrive by air or rail. It is within, 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 nearer than hands and feet, closer than breathing. This I is not seeking supply. It is the life that is supply, the presence that is substance, the cause that is before all causes. Before Abraham was, I am. Thus saith the Lord that made thee and formed thee from the womb. Fear not, I am with thee. We are gathered for an explanation and an experience, teaching that is also tasting. I will speak, and then we will be still. We will declare, and then we will listen. For prayer in this way is not asking a distant power to deliver parcels. It is opening out a way for the imprisoned splendor to escape. We do not mobilize God with many words. We rest in God and let God be God. Be still and know. So, just for a moment, leave your budgets and bills, your plans and projects outside the sanctuary of this instant. We are not ignoring life. We are enthroning life. Whisper with me, God, God, God. Not a thinking, not a pleading, just the holy name resting in the heart. I in the midst of me am mighty. Say it. I in the midst of me am mighty. Take no thought. Take no thought. Speak, Lord. Thy servant heareth. And then silence. Let there be that inner bowing, that tiny yielding where something not you and yet your deepest you begins to breathe itself into awareness. If you feel it like a warm weight or a soft click or nothing at all but peace, that is enough. It performeth that which is given me to do. This is the thesis and the promise. When effort ends, supply appears, because presence, not pushing, is source. In Scripture, the nets were empty by night labor and full by morning at a single word. The widow's cruse of oil did not answer to arithmetic. It answered to presence. The manna fell not by strategy. It came as daily bread. as now bread, because I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. So we stop the chase. We take our hands off the machinery of cause and effect. We let grace, this state, this awareness, this I reveal itself as form, as favor, as the perfectly timed call, the open door, the sufficiency that waits within before it appears without. We begin here, and we shall continue deeper. But for this opening, hold fast this word. Stop chasing supply. Let grace reveal it. Keep your mind stayed, not on the field where you think harvest lies, but on the Lord of the harvest within. And you will find, as we go on together, that in quietness and in confidence shall be your strength, and that the mighty I in the midst of you needs no push to be provision, for it is the source and the appearing of every good. We have named the altar. Now let us name the idol that has so long sat upon it in our thought. Make it happen. Make it happen. Make it happen. The gospel of the spreadsheet, the catechism of the hustle up at 5 to beat the markets, down at midnight to answer the boss, refreshing the bank app, as if manna arrived by Wi-Fi and the cloud held our daily bread. And beneath it, that small, tight fear that whispers, tomorrow stands or falls on today's strain. Miss a step and you miss your life. Is it not so? And yet we have said, God, the only power of the universe, only power. So which altar do we truly honor the indwelling I that says, I in the midst of thee am mighty, or the many powers of markets, bosses, and timing that we plaque it upon our office walls and call wisdom? Now, I am not scolding you. I am unveiling a habit we have all shared. We have imagined a universe of levers. Work the levers. Prospecting, posting, promoting, pleasing, and the machine will dispense supply. We have prayed to get more of something, as if God were the manager of that machine and prayer the exact change that buys a blessing. But hear the master. Your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask him. And again, fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. If the kingdom be given, if need be known, before the petition rises in the throat, to what end is this informing, this anxious advisory we send heaven about our budgets? Well then, must I inform God of my need? No. Must I persuade God to be God? No. Must I toil to secure what the Father withholds? No. Grace knows. Grace is. Grace appears where thought opens and pushing ceases. Listen within. Anxiety is the felt signature of reliance on law rather than grace. When you sense that tightening of the chest at month end, that clatter of mental abacus, if I do this, they will do that. If I don't, disaster know what is happening. You are bowing to cause and effect as though it were a deity. But hear the word. Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain that build it. Labor not for the meat which perisheth. Which of you by taking thought can add 1 cubit unto his stature? The very fever of making it happen breeds the lack we dread, for we sow to a field called separation. God there, me here, supply out there, effort in here, and between them a bridge I must engineer with worry. That bridge never reaches the other shore. Observe the confession beneath many of our prayers. Lord, give me more clients. Give me more sales. Move upon the boss's heart to favor me. What is the hidden creed? I lack. People are power. Money is substance. Timing rules. And God, if he be God, must compete within that system to tilt the odds my way. Beloved, That is bondage to the myth of causality. That is the double mind of which James warns. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. We affirm with lips, God the only power, and then we rush back to worship the many. Market cycles, interest rates, algorithms, gatekeepers. Be not deceived. Where many powers are enthroned, fear becomes king, and fear births more cause and more effect in an endless loop that never rests. So I ask you gently, what if you laid the spreadsheet upon the altar for just one holy hour, not as a sacrifice to loss, but as a confession of truth? Thine, O Lord, is the greatness and the power and the glory and the victory and the majesty. What if you ceased for this day from drafting strategies to inform omniscience and instead let omniscience inform you? Must you become lazy? No. You will act when moved, and that movement will be clean, timely, graced. But for now, see the tyranny. Every time we push to make it happen, we inscribe lack upon consciousness, and consciousness obliges by projecting the picture we have believed. Withdraw that inscription. Lean not unto thine own understanding. Rest not as idleness, but as allegiance to reality. Say within, softly, for the mind, that fears must be soothed. God, 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 I in the midst of me am mighty. Speak, Lord, thy servant heareth. And when the old engine revs, and it will, out of habit, recognize it, smile at it, as at a child who thinks the sun rises by tugging a rope, and return to the certainty, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. In that returning, the myth of causality loosens its hold, and the tyrant called making it happen begins to abdicate. This is our problem named, and already as we see it, its spell is broken. Now let us unveil the jewel at the heart of this way. Grace, not a sentiment, not a prize for good behavior, not the result of correct formulas. Grace is a state, an awareness, in which the I, that is God, is recognized as all, and in that recognition, the supposed governance of physical law, mental law, karmic law, law of cause and effect is wiped out as authority. Hear it. A state of grace that banishes, annihilates, nullifies the edicts of push and pull. When we are in that state, not we, really, but when that state dawns in us, then the law of the Spirit of life in Christ Jesus hath made me free from the law of sin and death. Yes. Isn't that wonderful? Free from the treadmill of if I do, then I get. If I don't, then I lose. Into the assurance of I that is before all doings and all gettings. Prayer, then, is not pleading for an outcome. Well, can I tell God then of my need? No. Your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask him. Prayer is entering the atmosphere where God is. All it is consent to the alreadiness of I. When thou prayest, enter into thy closet. And when thou hast shut thy door, shut the door on cause and effect, shut the door on the abacus, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. The reward is not a manipulated event. The reward is the outflow of sufficiency that appears as this, as that, as bread in the wilderness, as oil in a cruse, as nets filled at a word. Be still and know that I am God. Do not mistake that stillness for passivity. It is the most creative silence in the universe, the divine activity that needs no noise to perform its wonders, In that holy hush, currents move, not by muscle, but by spirit, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Thoughts are placed where they belong. Doors swing on unseen hinges. Hearts are softened. Paths are straightened. And we find ourselves walking into the provision that had long been hovering, awaiting only recognition. He performeth that which is given me to do. There is motion, but not push. There is action, but not strain. Let a triad settle into you now. Let it become your inner seal. All power, all wisdom, all supply of God, as God, through God. Say it slowly, as if carving it into consciousness. All power, all wisdom, all supply of God, as God, through God. If all power is of God, what place has any other power? If all wisdom is as God, why advise omniscience? If all supply is through God, what remains for hustle to create? Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Added, not manufactured by worry. Added, not squeezed out of hours and nerves. Added, because grace, once enthroned, carries its own forms in its train. Now, how do we stand in that state? We stop adding, we cease from our own works, as God did from his, and we let the Sabbath of awareness dawn a breath. God, God, God. Not the syllable merely, but the beholding, I in the midst of me am mighty. Speak, Lord, thy servant heareth. No list presented, no bargain struck, only the hush in which I announces itself. At times it is felt like a soft descending weight, at times like a brightness behind the forehead, at times no sensation at all, but a quiet rightness. In that, grace has taken the initiative, and results, oh yes, the very results the world sweats for, are added on, its schedule in, its forms, by its wisdom. You will discover gently, repeatedly, that the moment you return to push, the sky seems to close and the ground to harden, and the instant you return to stillness, the sky opens and the ground yields. This is not caprice. It is law of no law, the order of grace. For the Master did not say, calculate first, but abide in me and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, no more can ye, except ye abide in me. Herein is my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit. Fruit appears because abiding is real. Supply appears because grace is recognized. And in that recognition, you are delivered from the tyranny of adding to your life by toil, and ushered into the freedom where life adds unto you by itself. Now, if grace be the air we breathe, let us ask, who breathes? Identity is the hinge. Thus saith the Lord that made thee and formed thee from the womb. I will help thee. Here it is I formed thee. I breathe you. I am your life. The life you call mine is I, God, individualized as your very consciousness. In him we live and move and have our being. Not you here and God there, not a mortal pleading with a distant throne, but I at the center, radiating itself as being, as awareness, as sufficiency. Before Abraham was, I am. Would you participate with me a moment? Whisper the word I, not the biographical I, not the resume, not the anxious thinker. Take a breath and let the syllable point back to its source. I. Again, softer. I feel that it does not travel. It simply is, closer than breathing, nearer than hands and feet. Now, dare the holy admission. This I is deity. This I is the name that spoke to Moses out of flame. I am that I am. This I is the Christ that said, before Abraham was, I am. Do not be afraid of blasphemy. Be afraid only of smallness. You are not making a god of the ego. You are discovering that ego is the shadow that vanishes when I dawns. Here is the transfer of reliance. We have leaned on persons, positions, paychecks, as if channels were sources. We have courted bosses, studied markets, refreshed screens, and then said, the Lord is my shepherd, as an afterthought. Let us reverse the order in truth, not as pious speech. Say within, the I within me is the source of all appearing good. The I within me goes before me to make the crooked places straight. Scripture gives it plain. I will go before thee and make the crooked places straight. I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. When the I is acknowledged, channels become what they always were, passing forms on the surface of an unfailing sea. If one closes, another opens. If one dries, a spring breaks forth from a rock. And you marvel that supply was never in the faucet, but in the invisible pressure of the living deep. I in the midst of you am mighty, not mighty to compete with other powers, for there are no other powers. I, the only power, God, the only power of the universe, only power. In that single power, supply is not a package to chase, but the presence showing its face in time as money here, an idea there, a phone call now, a nudge to move, a restraint to wait. He performeth that which is given me to do, note. He performeth, the I initiates and fulfills, and we, branches on the vine, bear fruit because the life of the vine is our life. Abide in me and I in you. Identity first, activity follows. Do you see the joy rising? What security can any paycheck offer that I has not already guaranteed by being your very breath? What favor can any superior grant that is not already included in the favor of I that called you from the womb and walks as you through your day? When you awake in the night and the old fear prowls, will the bill be met? Will the project land? Do not draft more schemes. Turn within. Whisper, I in the midst of me am mighty. Lord, thou hast been our dwelling place in all generations. Rest in that dwelling. Then watch, not with tense expectation, but as a beholder. The email answers itself. The idea arrives complete. A forgotten invoice is remembered and paid. Or, without fanfare, a simplification comes that reduces the need itself. Supply is I revealing itself as money, ideas, timing, right action. Make a covenant this hour. Never again attribute causation to man or mechanism. Attribute all to I. Give thanks at the door of every appearance, not to the appearance, but to the presence that wears it for a moment and passes on. Say it as seal and song. I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee. I in the midst of me am mighty. Before Abraham was, I am. And then live as one who has a source already standing where your provision must appear there before you arrive, there when you seem delayed, there after others say too late. With that identity enthroned, the world becomes a transparent window for the one light, and sufficiency ceases to be a chase and becomes a constant unveiling of who have I has ever been here. All in all, come now. Let us make a little sanctuary in the midst of this hour. Sit as you are and lay just outside the door of consciousness, the bill, the budget, the calendar, the project. We will take them up again if needed, but for this holy interval, come empty-handed. When thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret. The door is thought. Shut it gently on calculation, on cause and effect, on how and when. Here the Master is present instruction and not antique counsel. Take no thought for your life, not after the meeting. Now, take no thought. Lay down the tools, the cleverness, the tiny levers we have relied upon, and be here. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. That is not poetry. It is operation. Our practice is simplicity itself. We are not petitioning supply. We are acknowledging presence and opening out a way for the imprisoned splendor to escape. Browning gave us that phrase, and it is accurate. There is a light imprisoned only by our belief in separation. An acknowledgement breaks the bars. So we do not advise God. We do not inform omniscience. We do not press for outcomes. We acknowledge, say it softly with me, not as magic words, but as keys turning in a lock. God, God, God. Feel the word descend from the head into the center. Again, God. Not a far God, not a sometime God. God here, God now. God, the only power of the universe. Only power. Let that settle. God, the only power. Now the name that lives in you. I. Whisper it until it is less a word and more a presence. I, in the midst of me am mighty. Again, with less effort and more certainty. I, in the midst of me am mighty. Before Abraham was, I am. He performeth that which is given me to do. Not I the planner, but he performeth. Let the breath follow the truth. On the in-breath, God. On the out-breath, I. God. God. We are not producing anything. We are consenting to what is. Your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask him. Therefore, take no thought. Take no thought. And now, a minute of holy redundancy until the mind's edges soften. God, God, God. Be still and know that I am God. I in the midst of me am mighty. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. God, the only power. Only power. Speak, Lord, thy servant heareth. God, God, God. He performeth that which is given me to do. Fear not, I am with thee. Closer than breathing, nearer than hands and feet. God, God, God. I in the midst of me am mighty. Take no thought. Take no thought. The yoke is easy and the burden is light. God. Good. Good. Notice, do not strain to notice how the breath has lengthened and the thought has quieted, as if a weight slipped from the shoulders without anyone lifting it. This is the sign that we have withdrawn faith from mechanism and placed it where it belongs in I. We have not moved God. God has never moved. We have opened a way inwardly, and the imprisoned splendor is already seeking its outlet as idea, as order, as sufficiency in forms we shall behold. Lean not unto thine own understanding. Rest here a moment more as a beholder, not a beggar, Repeat as needed, hour by hour, if fear returns. God, 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 I in the midst of me am mighty. He performeth that which is given me to do. And in quietness and in confidence shall be your strength, and the evidence will be added without push, for grace reveals itself where it is acknowledged as all. Now we cross a threshold. The words have done their work. They have named reality and quieted the edges of mind. But words are not the music. They are the tuning. Having tuned, lay the bow down. Adopt the listening attitude that is older than asking and deeper than thought. Speak, Lord, thy servant heareth. Not, I will speak now, but I will hear. Not, here is my condition, but here is my consent. Prayer shifts in this instant from saying to beholding, from presenting a case to witnessing. God be God. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Be still and know that I am God. This is our protocol. Drop the patient and the condition. If it is a bill, leave the bill outside. If it is a body, leave the body outside. If it is a boss, a market, a deadline, leave them all outside. Enter the closet empty. Become only a beholder, a witness. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. In this holy quiet, you are not trying to get, not trying to heal, not trying to move, not trying at all. You are yielding. You are saying by your silence, God, the only power, and you are consentingly present to I in the midst of me am mighty. Now, if you must, begin with a single key to open the inner door, one soft God or a whispered I, and then cease. Let the sea grow calm. Sit, not long, not strenuously, but faithfully, 2 or 3 minutes, morning and evening if you can. Add a third in the noon hour if fear prowls. Frequent, brief, faithful. Do not stretch the time to prove something, and do not cut it to escape yourself. Just this, a poised listening, as if a dear friend were about to speak the most necessary word. Speak, Lord, thy servant heareth. You will ask, how shall I know? Not by lightning, often by less than a feather, a soft release, as if a tight knot in the chest unmade itself without hands, a warmth behind the heart, a gentle yes that has no syllables. Sometimes only the sense that the room grew larger by an inch. When that touch, that click, that inner nod appears, stop. We are finished. Never look for results. Do not add a postscript of asking to the letter grace has already signed. Rise quietly and go about your day as one who has been visited. It is God which worketh in you, both to will and to do of his good pleasure. And if on a given sitting no sign comes, let that too be perfect. You have obeyed the one command that matters here. Be still. The vine does not tremble to make grapes. It abides. Abide in me, and I in you. Our work is not to produce a state. Our consent is the state. When you notice the mind return with its abacus, smile as at an old friend, and say inwardly, not now. Return to the witness. 2 minutes, 3 at most, then close. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. What follows this listening is not your management. Initiative transfers. You will find thoughts arriving unbidden that you do not think but receive. A name to call, a line to write, a restraint wait. Emotion, go now, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. And often, without any instruction at all, Forms begin to arrange themselves around your stillness as iron filings yield to a hidden magnet. He performeth that which is given me to do. Grace begins, very literally, to live your life through you. So let this be our gentle rule for the month and for the years. Enter, listen, stop 2 or 3 minutes, 2 or 3 times a day, drop the patient and the condition. Be a beholder. Accept the faint inner seal when it comes, and if it tarries, accept the silence as seal enough. Never look for results. Let results look for you. For in this listening, the government is upon his shoulder, and supply, which is presence revealing itself, begins to unfold on its terms, in its timing, as its own sufficiency. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom, and the kingdom does not arrive by noise, but by a hush that says, I am here. Let me tell you how this knows its way in the small, sharp edges of a day. A payment was due. 30 days had turned to 45, and the square little number on the invoice glared at me as if to say, do something. I could feel the old engine warming compose a firmer email, copy the supervisor, press the point, pick up the phone, and call again and again. The mind began its arithmetic. If not today, then the mortgage. If not this client, then scramble for another. Refresh the bank app. Refresh again. It seemed so reasonable, so responsible. And under it, that tightness across the chest that says, you are on your own. Have you noticed it? Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit unto his stature? I knew the Master's word, yet I felt the pull of push. At the very verge of it, finger over the send button of a stern reminder, I stopped. Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. This is our work, is it not? To withdraw reliance and return to source. So I set the device down, closed the office door, and entered the little closet that is not a place but a posture. Leave the invoice outside, I said to myself. Leave the client. Leave the month end. Drop the patient and the condition. God, 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 I in the midst of me am mighty. Speak, Lord, thy servant heareth. Take no thought. Take no thought. For 2 minutes, perhaps 3, I said nothing and did nothing. I became only a beholder. Be still and know that I am God. Slowly the room grew larger by that strange inch you know about, and the weight in the chest loosened as if a hand had opened from the inside. A quiet rightness arrived without trumpet. That was all. No plan, no angel with a spreadsheet, only peace. And then so gentle it could be missed a nudge. Write a note of thanks. Not a demand, not a hint. A simple gratitude for the work we had completed together. It almost made me laugh. But Lord, the mind protested, they owe. I must collect. Lean not unto thine own understanding. I obeyed the nudge. I deleted the stern draft that had so many persuasive paragraphs, and in its place wrote 3 lines. I remain grateful for the privilege of serving your team on this project. The insights we shared continue to bless my own work. Wishing you a fruitful week. No mention of the invoice. No hook. I pressed send as an offering, not a lever, and went back to the day as one who has been visited. He performeth that which is given me to do. By noon, an email arrived, not from the manager I had written, but from an unfamiliar name in accounting. We are embarrassed, it read, to find that your payment was delayed in our system. It is being released today. by wire. Kindly confirm your details. The invoice I had printed for a firmer demand still lay unmailed in the drawer, and there it stayed. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. I confirmed the details with a smile and returned to my tasks, light as if the air had changed. But grace never travels alone that afternoon. Without any advertisement on my part, and unrelated to that client, a message came from a company I had never courted. We've been listening to your talks, the note said, and would like to book a series. We're sending a retainer today to secure dates. Before the sun went down, a courier placed an envelope on my porch with a check from that second company, an unlooked-for check, prepaid in full for the first month. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Now hear me well. This is not magic, and it is not manipulation. I did not send a clever note to trigger a release. I did not posture gratitude to get results. Your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask him. What happened was a transfer of reliance. Effort ceased. Listening began. Grace assumed the initiative, and supply flowed through channels I could not have engineered one, the very payer I had been tempted to press, the other, a door I did not even know existed. Thine, O Lord, is the greatness and the power and the glory. The eye within had already gone before me to make the crooked places straight. When I stood still, I saw the salvation of the Lord, not as thunder, but as timely wires and quiet checks and a heart kept in peace. This is how the kingdom adds, not by the push of the branch, but by the life of the vine. Abide and watch how easily the forms arrive on time and over measure, because grace is its own cause and sufficiency, its natural outflow. And now, beloved, let us face the picture itself and call it by its right name, appearance, not substance, not reality, appearance to unillumined sense. God is light, and in him is no darkness at all. If there is no darkness in God, then darkness cannot be a thing. It can only be the absence of light in our seeing. So with lack, there is no lack in God. Therefore, lack is not a condition in God's creation. It is a picture, a suggestion, a shadow on the wall of thought. Thou art of purer eyes than to behold evil, saith the prophet. And the psalmist answers, the earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. Fullness, not fragments. Fullness, say it until it rolls the stone away. Do not stumble at this. I am not asking you to say an empty wallet is full by positive thinking. I am inviting you into light. In dimness, a coil of rope becomes a snake. The heart races, the body sweats, steps retreat. Then someone lifts a lantern. And where is the snake? Nowhere. It never was. The rope remains. The fright dissolves. So too with pink elephants of the midnight mind, so vivid on the wall of fear, so authoritative in the tremble of nerves, and then a turn of sight, a lamp within, and the whole parade is found to be nothing but moving shadows. When light enters, the argument ends without debate. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and look again. Our master taught sight, not struggle. He did not wrangle with 5 loaves and 2 fishes. He looked up. He beheld sufficiency and blessed, and the fragments overfilled baskets. The Buddha, sitting beneath the fig tree, watched Mara's armies, threats, lacks, temptations march and howl, and by calm beholding saw them melt into the very air that carried their dust. Different tongues, one revelation. Appearance has no life in itself. It borrows seeming power from our belief. Withdraw belief, behold reality, and the picture breaks up like mist in morning sun. How then shall we practice? We do not argue with figures. We behold God's fullness where figures seem to be. Numbers on a screen are shapes on water. Reality is the sea beneath. The bank app announces shortage. The soul answers, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Not to browbeat digits, but to align sight with fact. My cup runneth over. Thou preparest a table before me. Give us this day our daily bread. Not tomorrow's panic. This day's bread. This moment's sufficiency. An ever-present stream no statement can measure, no market can halt. God, the only power of the universe. Only power. Now hear the gentle rule. As simple as breath. Each time fear rises, each time the pink elephant paints itself larger, each time the snake of shortage seems to coil, do not sprint into plans. Stop, whisper, be still, and know that I am God. Then say it closer. I, in the midst of me, am mighty. God, God, God. Become only a beholder. Hold your peace, and let the Lord fight for you. Refuse the lawsuit with shadows. Grant them no court, no testimony, no witness. Sight, not scuffle, ends the case. You will find that the picture begins to dematerialize. A due date loosens, an avenue unseen opens, a simplification renders the need smaller or non-existent. An idea arrives that gathers coins from the mouth of a fish you had not noticed swimming beside your boat. Or, and often most blessed, the heart rests while the outer scene rearranges itself without your push. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. The world calls this coincidence. Scripture calls it addition. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Let this be your steady scene. Reality is God is present sufficiency here, now, infinite, indivisible. Appearance is suggestion. Snakes, pink elephants, red numbers, anxious headlines. The remedy is light. Turn within, lift the lantern of eye, and behold. When you forget, and you will, tenderly human, remember sooner. Be still and know, God, God, I in the midst of me am mighty. Then watch how lack, having never been real, evaporates as mist yields to morning, and how what remains solid as rope, sound as rock, is the fullness of the Lord filling all in all. Let us, then, with the light we have, put the world back into its rightful place. Budgets, bosses, bank apps, keep them. Calendars, contracts, mentors, keep them. Tools are not our trouble. Trust mislaid is the trouble. We do not smash the thermometer because it reports the weather. We cease to worship the thermometer as sun. Persons and institutions are avenues, not origins. Channels, not source. We look through them, not at them. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, and the forms that pass before our eyes are but the garments of a presence that is our very life. So, yes, we draw a budget, but not as a fence to keep God out or as a God to keep fear down. We write numbers as an expression of order, not as a sentence of lack. We meet with the supervisor, but not to coax favor out of clay. We go as those who carry favor within. For thou, Lord, wilt bless the righteous. With favor wilt thou compass him as with a shield. We open the bank app if we must, but we do not bow to it. The digits report a picture. They do not decree reality. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. Lean not on figures. Lean into I. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Here is the reorientation in one clear sentence. Use externals wisely, but rely wholly on the indwelling presence that does the works. Say it within, slowly. The I within me goes before me to make the crooked places straight. Again, I within me goes before me. Before the email, before the meeting, before the negotiation, not after the fact, but ahead of it, already there as intelligence, as timing, as justice, as provision. I will go before thee and make the crooked places straight. I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. If you will enthrone that as the fact, you will see how quickly persons take their right place, kind, helpful, sometimes firm, sometimes soft, but never again mistaken for cause. What about fear? It will try its lines. What if the budget shows a gap? What if the boss disapproves? What if the bank app is red again? Answer it with scripture. Not to outshout it, but to turn on the light. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. Safety is not a policy or a paycheck. Safety is presence. Presence that walks as you into the office and sits as you at the table. Presence that whispers when to speak and when to keep silence. Presence that arranges that a conversation you dreaded becomes an unexpected blessing because the eye had already spoken to the other heart before you arrived. It is God which worketh in you both to will and to do of his good pleasure. Let us set a gentle guardrail, practical as bread, before any financial conversation, before you dial, before you reply, before you sign. Pause. 2 breaths. Close the mental ledger. Whisper, God, God, God. I in the midst of me am mighty. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. Then, if you would add the psalmist, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Feel the shift from trying to letting, from pushing to consenting. When that small inward yes arrives, even the size of a mustard seed, then proceed. You will find the words come clothed in grace, the tone softened by peace, or the restraint to wait saves you from a tangle you would have entered too soon. This is not passivity. It is inspired activity under orders of I. Do not despise the simple steps. Before you open the bank app in the morning, pause. God, the only power. Only power. Open, look, and if the figures smile, give thanks to God, not to the smile. If the figures frown, give thanks to God, not to the frown. In both cases, rely where reliance belongs. Before you plot the month's budget, sit for a minute with the name, I am that I am. Write the lines, yes, but leave room wide, elastic room for grace to add and subtract in ways your pencil did not foresee. Remember Joseph, orderly in storing grain, yet guided by a dream. Order that answers to spirit is flexible. Law that ignores grace is brittle. And bosses, bless them. See through the title to the life in them that is the same life in you. You are not beneath a person. You are under God. If correction comes, let it polish you without piercing your peace. If praise comes, let it pass to the giver. Promotion cometh neither from the east nor from the west, but God is the judge. Hold every human relationship as a window, not a wall, and you will feel the fresh air of freedom even while you fill forms and sit in meetings. The yoke is easy when the pull is within. This is our stance. Steady, cheerful, unhurried reliance on I, with competent, orderly use of all right tools. We bless the channels. We worship the source. We prepare well. We listen better. We show up on time. We arrive already supplied within. And we carry this single refrain into every practical scene. The I within me goes before me to make the crooked places straight. God, the only power of the universe. Only power. Fear not, I am with thee. Then watch how budgets serve, how bosses become allies, how bank apps turn into dashboards rather than deities, how life reoriented to presence walks itself out as quiet sufficiency, day by day, line by line, grace upon grace. Now we move not from hurry, but from hush. Take no thought is never do nothing. It is do only what grace gives. Be still and know is the doorway, not the destination. Beyond that door there is a simple choreography. He performeth that which is given me to do. Mark that which is given. Not every glittering task, not every clever idea, not every urgent ding on a screen, only what is given. And when it is given, it carries its own supply as surely as the vine carries sap to the branch. My yoke is easy, and my burden is light. How do we know what is given? By the sign of the Spirit. Lightness, peace, a sense of being led rather than pushed. Pressure shouts, hurry or else. Guidance whispers, now, and you find your feet moving without fuss. Fear bargains. If I don't, I'll lose. Love instructs, do this. And the heart nods. The peace of God, which passeth all understanding, keeps not only hearts and minds, it keeps calendars and keystrokes when activity is born of it. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Let us make this practical. You are in your quiet listening, 2 minutes, 3, and a name rises unbidden. Call Ruth. Not a list of 10 calls, not a campaign 1 call. There is no ache in it, no angle. There is only a soft rightness, as if a chair were pulled out for you at a table already set. You dial, not to get, but to obey. I don't know why, Ruth laughs, but I was just preparing a note for you. The door, which yesterday would not budge, swings inward of its own weight. Doors open without knocking them down when the hand on the latch is not ours. Another day, the nudge is a letter, 1 page, not a packet. Clear, honest, free of push. You write it in 10 unlabored minutes, and the words arrive as if they had been waiting. He performeth that which is given me to do. You send it and forget it. 2 mornings later, a reply lands. Your timing is uncanny. We've been reworking this very area. Could we begin next week? Timing aligns when time belongs to God, or perhaps it is a quiet pivot in pricing. Not the old fear-driven trimming, not the proud spike to prove worth, but a simplification that feels like truth. 1 price, clean, with value stated plainly. There is no tremble in the fingers, no inward argument. There is the same peace you felt in the closet. You present it, and the client, who last month haggled every penny, accepts before the tea grows cold. Supply accompanies its own assignment. The laborer is worthy of his hire, and when the laborer's graces, hire arrives without haggling. Here is a gentle test you can keep in your pocket. Ask of any impulse. Is there light in it? Is there rest in it? Does it come with a sense of being accompanied? If yes, go, even if the step is small, especially if the step is small. If instead there is strain, a metallic taste of fear, the need to sell or to force, lay it down. Not now. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. The shoves of a worried man are ordered by his pictures. We are done with shoves. Do not try to string together a week's worth of inspired activity like beads you design. One bead at a time is given, and each bead brings its own thread. Grace moves, and we move with it. Today it may be a phone call at 10:17. Tomorrow, wait. The next day, write 3 lines. This afternoon, walk across a hallway and speak gently to one person. Small obediences become an unbroken path because the same presence that gives the step goes before you to prepare the scene. I will go before thee and make the crooked places straight. Notice how strain reduces when you cease to manufacture outcomes and simply show up where the piece is pointed. And when action is finished, let it be finished. Do not hover over the seed to see if it sprouted overnight. Do not tug the sprout to make it taller. Never look for results. Return to the closet, to the hush, to the mantra of reality. God, 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 I, in the midst of me, am mighty. Then when the next whisper comes, you will be fresh to follow. This is the practical flow. Listen, consent, do the given thing, stop, repeat. You will find that errands take less time, emails shrink to sentences, meetings end early because clarity arrived at the start, and provision, like shadow to form, follows every assignment from within. Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. Isn't that wonderful? The life you thought you had to push begins to carry you, and you recognize with quiet joy that you have been yoked to ease all along. Now, we take this from the chair of prayer into chairs around the table and around the boardroom. Grace is not a sanctuary word. It is a household law. If God be God, he is God in the kitchen as surely as in the temple, God in the email thread as surely as in the hymn. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. All thy ways. So we enthrone presence where life is actually lived. In the home, make a small altar of the ordinary. Before bill paying, gather those who share the house, 2 or 3, or alone if you are alone, and keep 1 minute of shared silence, not long. A minute. Lay the envelopes or the open laptop aside. Drop the figures. Behold presence. Whisper together, scarcely more than breath. God, God, God. I in the midst of me am mighty. Then be still. Let the hush say what your mouth cannot. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. After the minute, bring the papers back. You will find that something invisible yet practical has shifted. Clarity rises. This is due. This can wait. This subscription is not needed. Errors surface quietly. A double charge you would have missed presents itself to the eye. A courtesy credit appears when you speak kindly because you began kindly. But greater than these, peace moves into the atmosphere. Children grow calm without knowing why. Conversations stay gentle. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Carry the same into the workplace. Before the meeting begins, whether you are the leader or the least, remove the target number from the altar of your heart. Let numbers be servants, not gods. If you can, ask for 60 seconds of quiet to collect ourselves You may say, if you cannot ask aloud, keep it inward. God, the only power, only power. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. I within me goes before me to make the crooked places straight. Then proceed. Watch how the tone flattens out the spikes, how the urge to impress is replaced by readiness to serve, how the right words appear when the time arrives and do not stumble out when the time has not. Meetings shorten because wisdom sits at the head of the table. It is God which worketh in you both to will and to do of his good pleasure. What of conflict and negotiation? Become a beholder. Drop the patient and the condition. Not this difficult person. Not this stubborn contract God. God, God. Hold your peace within and let the Lord fight for you. Do not rehearse the counter-argument. Do not chase the win. Offer what is true, clear, and fair. Then rest, even while words are still being spoken. Rest in I. A soft answer turneth away wrath. If the price must be no, release it without bruise. Your supply is not chained to this signature. If the answer is yes, it will be so natural it will feel inevitable. He maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. Never look for results. Look to I. Now notice the ripple. Peace in one heart leavens a room. The team stops jangling. The client who arrived tense begins to breathe. Timeline steady because someone among you has ceased to push time and has entered the Sabbath of trust while working. My peace I give unto you, said the master, not as a sentiment but as a transferable state. One lamp lights many faces. One stillness becomes a field. To strengthen trust, keep witness. Not a ledger of outcomes to pat the ego, but a little book of God's fingerprints. After your quiet minutes, or after the meeting, jot a brief line. The inner click I felt at 9:03, the call that came at 2:17 without my prompting, the angry note that softened after I paused, the bill adjusted by policy that had never been adjusted before. 2 lines, a date, no embroidery. These are stones of remembrance, as Israel laid by Jordan, so that when fear returns and it will try, you may say to your own soul, bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. Testimony builds trust, not in methods, but in the God who never left. So we practice a minute of hush before the household figures, a breath of hush before the boardroom numbers, a beholder's stance in conflict, a page of witness afterward. This is not labor. This is enthronement. When presence is on the throne of the ordinary, order and provision appear without strain. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom, and the kingdom comes quietly, like leaven in meal, like dew upon grass here, now, in the place where you write checks, open apps, speak to colleagues, kiss children good night, be still and know. God, 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 I in the midst of you am mighty. Now, beloved, let us seal it not as a bargain with God, not as a stunt to coax results, but as a covenant of beholding. Prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven. We do not test God. We let God show God's self. This is the way. For 30 days, we will enthrone presence by rhythm, by boundary, by reliance, by witness, simple, quiet, sure. The rhythm is this. Morning. Set 5 minutes aside before you consult any screen or ledger. 3 minutes of holy declaration. God, God, God. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. I in the midst of me am mighty. I will go before thee and make the crooked places straight. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works. Say them slowly, not to convince, but to acknowledge. Then 2 minutes of listening. Speak, Lord, thy servant heareth, and no more words. Sit as a beholder. Midday, 4 minutes. 2 minutes of quiet affirmations. God, the only power. Only power. I am that I am, followed by 2 of listening. Evening, 6 minutes before sleep. 3 minutes of gentle declarations. Thou preparest a table before me. My cup runneth over. I will never leave thee, nor forsake thee. And then 3 minutes of resting in the hush. If you miss, do not scold yourself. Begin again at the next bell of the day. Faithfulness, not faultlessness. Now the boundary. For 30 days, no rehearsing money worries aloud. Not to yourself in mutter. Not to family in kitchen. Not to colleagues in hallways. Set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth. Keep the door of my lips. When the tongue rises to narrate lack, substitute the name God, God, God. Then return to silence. If a conversation must address figures, let the facts be spoken cleanly, but banish drama. If another brings anxiety, become a lamp. Shall we be still for a moment? If they cannot, then be still within while they speak. A soft answer turneth away wrath, and it turns away the momentum of fear. This boundary is mercy. It keeps the field clear for grace to do what only grace can do. Here is the reliance fast. For 30 days, refuse to look to persons as source. Cease ye from man, whose breath is in his nostrils. Look through them to I, bless channels, yes, clients, bosses, buyers, friends, but worship the source alone. No flattery to fish for favors. No pressing to pry doors open. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. Say within before any appointment, the I within me goes before me to make the crooked places straight. Then go, simple and honest. If help comes through a person, give thanks past them to the giver. If a door shuts, do not bruise it with your shoulder. There is another door already open where I is waiting. We will keep witness without chasing. Each evening, in 2 lines, note your peace and any provision surprises. Peace, 1 to 10, not as a grade, but as a kindness. Today a 4, rising to 6 after midday listening. Then a stone of remembrance, invoice released, fee forgiven, expense disappeared, unexpected credit, idea arrived that dissolved the cost. Or most precious, heart at rest, though digits unchanged. Write it and close the book. Never look for results. We are not corralling grace. We are noticing God. Finally, the seal. At pillow's edge. Whisper, as if to a friend already in the room. I am here. I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. Then let go. Let the yoke of the day slip from the shoulders. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. Rest and let supply appear on its terms, in its timing, by its own causelessness. Take no thought for your life. Your heavenly Father knoweth. Morning will come, and with it the hush, and with the hush the next given step. 30 days, beloved, and you will know not by hearsay, but by lived bread, that grace is a state that nullifies push, that the I in the midst of you is mighty, and that sufficiency is not earned by effort, but revealed by presence. Begin tonight. Say it now, softly. God, 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 be still and know.